shoulders on the back end of the tank, or the front end, closest to where the Roscoe is, where the natural little spacer will go, where it should shoulder in, so it starts to strengthen that architecture by instead of doing a straight shoulder, it's going to curve in, kind of giving that nice little sloop in there. But I'm using a thicker metal, so it takes more time, so I can get back into the swing of this a lot easier, and it'll also force me to constantly change and check, as you saw me check my caliper. I kind of check it and change it on the fly. Need to make myself a hold fast to hold some of this metal down when I'm not using my tongs. It's a little harder when you're swinging to make it hold itself in place. And unfortunately, my angle stand is not quite what I might want to call stable. It's not perfectly flat, but it's good enough for what we're doing. Unfortunately, the shop's really small, so it gets hot really fast. While I'm letting that heat up again, might as well take a quick sip of water. Always stay hydrated when you're working with the hot metals. And any type of heat, really. Well, it's just good to stay hydrated regardless. It's almost there again. I got to push it in a little further. Make sure those shoulders get where I want them in the heat. As I start making these, I'm going to try to keep it more consistent so I can constantly make the same knife over and over and over again. Unfortunately, I don't have the time or the materials right now to do the 100 knife test, first knife versus the 100th knife, and see how it progressively gets better to the end result. Sadly, we can't do that right now. Perhaps a little further down the road, we can do that. If you're wondering why I'm kind of shouting-ish, so I'm trying to sound louder than the forge, and I got my earbuds in, so everything sounds a little louder to me, I guess. But needless to say, as long as we keep swacking at it, that. So we're getting a little bit closer. Still got a ways to go. I could, in theory, shave this down a lot more with the grinder on the back and front, and then just bore through it before I harden it, and then temper it, and make a pin for each hole to hold on to the material. But I like doing the burn throughs. And yes, everybody's still asking me, when will you go on Fortune Fire? I'm not nowhere near close enough ready to do Fortune Fire. Nor would I really kind of want to. Honestly with you, I don't really have that kind of want. Maybe if I had a bigger audience that wanted to see me there, I would go. But who knows? You never know. We may end up there, we may not. I'm not really all that worried about it. As you can see where this slopes, we'll probably take a grind to it once I get a little thinner, well, thinner as I can, because it is a pretty thick piece of metal. We'll work from there, start taking it in. You can see where I've made it a little ugly right here. We'll start working on that one kind of trying to square it back out. Just a hair. Currently using like a, I think this is what, 2-pound sludge? Not even a 2-pound sludge, 2-pound cross bead. Yeah, 2.5 pound cross bead. It's moving the metal pretty well. I need to move my substone before it gets puckered. It is getting warm. It's going to be murder in the summertime. But for now, working what I can. Hopefully, sometime the next year and a half, I'll increase the size of the shop to maybe about 20 by 30. Make it a little easier to work with space. Can add bigger tools. My buddy's trying to help me make a trindle hammer, but I really don't have the spot for it yet. I'd have to reorganize the shop a bit more. Making something like a patina remover. I just remove the scale real easy with our 6-inch belt grinder. We're going to fasten a box underneath with a shelf that I can move, and all I'm going to do is put the knife on it, flip the magnets up to hold it in place. It's going to take a little testing so that way it doesn't just shoot right on out. But we're going to do that so that way it smooths it level. So all I do is pull it all the way back out, flip the knife over, flip the magnets back up, and then run it through until I'm satisfied. And that'll change a lot with how we're doing. As much as I like doing it the old hard way, I do enjoy some of my modern convenience. Basically all I'll do is waggle it. I need to work on my hammer control like a mofo. So that comes with practice. Probably be easier with a lighter hammer, but the amount I'm moving, it needs to be a little bit heavier just so I can constantly keep moving metal. Maybe if it was just such a thick piece I could do it, but it is what it is. Starting to get a little bit of a twist because of how I'm holding it with the tongs. These are not what I call really great tongs, but they do the job. I really need to invest in some more or build some myself. I prefer to just buy it because I support the local like depots, so that way there's constantly a need for such things. As well as it's warranted. I mean, like anyone making their own tools, you only warranty your own work. I'd rather have a warranty, I can just go get another. In the sense of, I got work I could be doing. Bend in it. Almost forged a forge accident right there. And that's why I want better tongs, honestly. I can tailor what I need to it. My workbench here, I need to go ahead and resin seal it. It's starting to split a little bit from the heat. This particular one, we're going to make the bevel a little steeper. Just not as much as you'd think, but plenty. I'm not really sure what I want yet out of it. We'll find out together. Once I work this tank a little bit more to be manageable with my tongs, we'll go back to the front and change how it is. tapering it, rather. I should really say tapering it. What grind we were going to do in the spine, as long as it stays consistent like it is right now, will be very minimal. We've only been out here half an hour. That edge will help in the long run. It's a windy day and I gotta keep the door open to let everything circulate. Unfortunately, where I placed this bad boy, it is the possible worst part for a windy day. Because it's getting nothing but cool air. Wish I could close it, but I can't. I need fresh air. Unfortunately, if you want to know what I'm listening to, I'm listening to Dan Hunt. I just got it on my Pandora. I'm just letting it roll. To make sure the straightness is there. Because I got it about where I want it to be. So, we got a rudimentary body made. So, I'll go ahead and take you over there so you can see it. Give me 1 second. I gotta put my earbuds back in their little port so I don't lose them. So, I'm gonna go ahead and use some non-tongs to hold this closer. And regret life later. Alright. So, I'm going to go ahead and bring this hot ass piece of metal, just so you remember, these things are hot. Alright, so you see how thick it is. That is proving kind of a challenge, in the sense of I made that thicker by hammering it in such a way. Now, as you see, we have the start of our shoulders. Not very well, but we can fix that in the grind. Didn't really want to grind too much, but this is going to be a good start. Now, there is something you can note with this. We can flip it over, and with a little bit more hammering, we can bring that tip down into the line with the tang and make this into a different type of knife. However, I'm going to stick with what I'm trying to make, which is a sax. Now, it's not amazing. Still about where I was a year ago, in my mind. You may see a better shape than I do, but I can only see the things that are wrong with it. That being said, once, yeah, that's still really hot. It's starting to scorch the wood there, as you saw the smoke. We'll let that air cool to relax the steel for now. And next video, I will go ahead and take that to the grinder to knock off some of the excess that I'm having a little extra trouble hammering out. And that said, oh, let me get you propped up here. Sorry about that. Again, it's not like I have a studio or people to work with me on it. Ooh, that's hot. One thing you'll note in this shop is it's going to be a lot of me going, ah, shit, that's hot. It's a very enclosed space. And as you can hear, there's people outside mowing, doing other sorts of crazy stuff, so not remote as they used to be. That said, we will be continuing to work on these sporadically throughout the week. I will try my best to continue to push forward with the build. And once I'm satisfied with the grind and the shape on it, we'll move on to the next phase of it, which will be more detailed work. I'm only stopping here now because I kind of want to go eat. It's almost 50 minutes long. So I'm going to turn this in partial into a time lapse. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. Or I just might release the whole thing as nearly 50 minutes long, which no one's going to want to watch. It was a lot of me just standing there waiting for the metal to heat. But that said, we're going to continue to push forward. I'm going to work on getting a camera so I can move my computer to the study and run some cables out here and hopefully be streaming in this instead of just videos, because I don't have the means or the knowledge to edit these properly or effectively. With that said, I will take it upon myself to learn those things so that way I can do segmented pieces like this. But we're going to try our best. All the raw footage, we just hit the 50-minute mark, so I'm going to try to wrap this up so it's not so long, because no one's going to make it this far, except for a couple of you. Maybe Doc will, but that's a different story. That said, a couple of shills for you. Check out Dog Griffon, the Insomniac Ramble stream. Blah, 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 blah. It was a good stream. It's just him trying to get other people to fall asleep with his ramblings as well. That said, it was a nice little 50 minutes of work, if that. We did move steel pretty well with that 2-pounder. I should be going back to my lighter hammer before too long just to get this to be shaping, because that's what I'm going to do most of my detail work with, is the smaller hammer. You'll note that I'm looking all over the place, mostly because, well, it's a phone, can't help you. That said, we will try to get a more appropriate setup here in the near future. It's a little expensive, but we'll work through it. I'll let you know how the other projects are going, such as the remover, the patina remover, so that way we can remove all that build up and it'll be nice and shiny. We'll try to, I'll hopefully have someone here to help me when I start doing the quench tank, so that way you guys can actually watch the steel cool down in the oil. That's, to me, it's always been neat to see how it changes, and you can see the little spots and how the matrix of it is. You can't see that kind of detail, obviously, down to the crystal matrix, but you can see how it cools down, and you can see different waves of how the heat is slowly ebbing out, which I've always thought was neat. But anyway, rambling. Well, this is Stalwin, signing off. Could hear what I'm listening to, but unfortunately that'd be copyright, and even though I don't monetize, I'm sure I'd get a fucking strike.